Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my co-host and best friend D-Lo, and we are Too Complex. Another episode here for y'all, man. We got some good topics to talk about. But before we get into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss none of these bangers that we drop every single week, man. But
we back.
Just to get into it, man, we back, D-Lo. We got to bring it for the people, man. Shout out to the 4 subscribers that subscribed over the past couple of days. We love y'all, man. 90% of y'all are not subscribed, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're watching.
Yep.
But as we do every week, man, how was your last week, G?
Week's good, man. As always, spending time with the family where I can, working where I can, handling business where I can. I just came from a track meet. My little cousin came up. He's running track. Had him in all kind of events. He was doing a javelin throw at 9 years old. They have a little Nerf javelin that they're throwing. Long jump.
Got you.
I got to see him do the 100, and I believe he's also was supposed to do the 400, but I had to get back home, in time to do this. But I was able to watch him. Little Joker's fast, man. 100 meters. I think he ran a 1471 or something like that. At 9, he was running and came in 13th place. So. But I mean, he's pretty fast, man. So shout out to him. He's big into all kind of sports. He plays football, he plays basketball, and he's running track right now. So he's on a good path. He's just small, but is a heck of an athlete for his age, I think. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds for him.
So they got javelin at 9. We ain't even have javelin in high school. We came from a different type of place. We came from a different type of environment. So we ain't need no javelins where we come from. We ain't need that.
Not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest.
How's your week?
Man, the week was good, man. Just making sure I'm putting myself in position to take on this new avenue, going down the computer science, the coding avenue. So I'm just making sure I'm got everything, all my ducks in a row, all my eggs in my basket, so that way I can make sure I'm taking full advantage of that. Spending time with Sam, every single weekend. Was supposed to take her crazy behind the driver's ed this morning, but she forgot her permit. So I couldn't even. We had to reschedule it for 3:45.
Let's take a step back. She has to have her permit to take driver's ed.
Yes, bro. So it's not like how we were back in the day where we took the class and then got a permit. Nah, up here in Washington, they get their permit first, so they are permitted to drive to take the class.
And what is that? Excuse my language.
It's ass backwards, but I understand the theory behind it. Like you have to have the permit to have permission to drive a car to take the class and take the test and stuff like that. So I guess it's backwards, but in a sense, like when we grew up, we had to earn that permit, bro. We had to pass the class, pass the driver's test, and pass the written test before we got the permit.
Right.
And we had to wait till we were 18 to get the driver's license.
Right. All right. So let me ask you this then. After she passes the class and all that stuff, what's the next level up? She just is granted that it's nothing else. She just has a permit.
So from what I understand, she already has the permit, but she does. So in order for her to be able to, because she can drive with me all she wants to, because she has the permit. Like she has to have a number of hours outside of the class before she can actually get her plastic license. Or her plastic license is still going to be a permit, like an under 18.
Right.
But she can't get that until she passes all of her driving hours, her written test, and then the driving class.
But she already has a permit, though.
But she already has the paper permit, yes.
Oh, it's a paper permit.
It's a paper permit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But she can't get the plastic one until she passes all of the steps.
I got you.
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's still crazy, though. It is.
Yeah. Crazy. I kind of don't get that because you said she can drive with you with that paper permit.
Mm-hmm.
But with us, the only time that we could drive, if I recall correctly, was when we were in driver's ed. Even if we were driving with our parents, we couldn't. We technically, by law, we're not able to drive. Yeah,
exactly.
But
see, we didn't have to do any outside driving hours. Not that I remember.
They do now here in
North Carolina.
And maybe it's different. I need to ask my my wife's friend whose son is in driver's ed right now and see what the steps are now, because he does have to do some type of driving hours in all different types of weather and all that stuff. He has
that's what she got to do too.
Hours and rain and stuff. So okay, maybe they changed it, but Okay, maybe I'm jumping to
He is
conclusions
different,
then.
maybe, but you know, we old, bro.
Yeah,
So
we
you know
come
what I'm
from a
saying.
different era.
We come from a different era. We come
Yeah.
from a different atmosphere and environment, bro. I was driving since I was 12 years old, so I don't be knowing.
Don't say that too loud. I was too, but I was stealing cars, not stealing actual cars, but stealing my parents' cars when they went to work in the
Yeah,
summertime.
just driving around, bro.
You
Shoot,
know what I'm
I
saying?
had to get to my shorty crib. She's
Driving
like,
to
"What
the
you
neighborhood.
need?"
You know what I
Facts,
mean? Yeah.
facts. But we do got a couple of small talk topics, man. Let's talk about Dylan Brooks, man. What's up with Buddy, bro?
Man, so we talked about Dylan Brooks last week, you know, in talking about the NBA playoffs and how the Memphis Grizzlies acted with their trash talking and then not talking at all when they got their butt whooped. Well, Dylan Brooks has found himself in a rather peculiar position, and I want to get your thoughts on it. He is basically not being brought back by the Memphis Grizzlies, and they're saying under no circumstances will they bring him back. What's your thoughts on this move and the statement that's made by the Grizzlies?
I think the Grizzlies made that statement because I think and this is how I would think if I was a GM of the Grizzlies. I think they're thinking that Dylan Brooks is becoming a distraction, honestly.
Mhm.
Because if you ask me, he's my least favorite player in the NBA right now. It used to
Mhm.
be Draymond, but now it's Dylan. I cannot stand, but I do not like that dude, bro.
Yeah.
And but my initial thought was it's because he's becoming a distraction. He talks too much, but doesn't really do much on the court. I
Mhm.
mean, he is kind of like that Pat Beverly irritant type of defensive player. Like he does a lot of things that don't show up in the stat line, but just like LeBron told him on the court, do your job, make some shots, my nigga. Like do your job, make some shots, bro. Like what you think? What's your idea on it, bro?
I mean, I understand the Grizzlies moving on from him, right? But the under no circumstances is he coming back is kind of foul to me because
It's
it's
different,
like
yeah.
they're making him the scapegoat for their failures in the playoffs when the organization as a whole, when I say the organization, I mean the roster as a whole, those that were playing, they all trash talk. Uh,
True.
Spearheaded by John Morant. Now, John Morant, I'm sure he talks a little bit of junk to, you know, stars that are a little bit higher caliber than him, but it didn't look like he was talking much junk to LeBron or AD while they were playing.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
the other players, they were getting straight to it. And I mean,
Back and forth.
they didn't play entirely bad except for that sixth game when they got blowed out by 40. But it just seems like the Memphis Grizzlies are trying to make Dylan Brooks the scapegoat for their failures in the playoffs when in reality it was the whole team that failed. I mean, he had
Yeah,
a big part in it, but the whole team was playing bad.
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. Sticking with basketball though, in some sorts, Howard Stern went on a rant earlier this earlier this week, and he
Fact.
said that he's upset that the black players won't come over to him and say hello. He said they'll go over to speak to Spike, but you know they ignore me. He was like, I just want them to come over and talk to me. You know, say, hey, Howard, fan of the show, so on and so forth. What do you think about him making this statement?
Bruh, I mean, not everybody is gonna like everybody. I don't pay attention to Howard Stern. I know who Howard Stern is because of his personality on the radio show and everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, they honestly, bro, simply they just don't like the nigga. I don't know because he said he'll be sitting in between like Tracy Morgan and like Spike Lee, and they'll come talk to Tracy and Spike, but they won't even acknowledge that he's there. So it's just like, but I mean, if they don't like your show, they don't like your show. I have never once listened to a Howard Stern broadcast ever.
Hmm.
I don't, and I'm fair to say that 95% of the black people in the NBA probably don't listen to Howard Stern either.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
they
He
just
said.
don't pay attention to you, bro. Like,
Yeah. He said he hopes it's a racial thing, and I don't. I don't know why he would say that. For one, why he would think he would hope it's a racial thing and not his personality is what he said.
right.
But
But I think it is his personality though.
I I don't think it's his personality either. I just think, all right, first off, the average age, I believe, of the New York Knicks is 24, 25,
Yeah,
somewhere
they're
in
one
that
of the
range,
youngest teams in the league. Yeah, they
right?
are.
Howard Stern's show was really popping, I believe, in the late
in the
90s,
80s
early
or late
80s.
80s, early 90s.
No, I thought it was late
Because
90s, early 2000s.
his first radio gig was in 1976. Nobody in the NBA, I don't even think, was born then.
Nah, definitely not. I mean, LeBron's probably the oldest in the league, and he's our age.
Yeah, facts.
And but I thought he was popping in the late 90s, early
2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, his radio show's been going on for a long time, so he probably had, of course, ups and downs. But
yeah,
I can agree with you on that. Yeah, I can agree with you on that.
Needless to say, most of those players weren't even born or even thinking about a radio or even listening to Howard Stern when they were coming
Not
up.
even close.
So his popularity was on the decline when they were coming up. On top of the fact that I don't think it's a racial thing, I think it's more of a cultural thing. And then
Agreed.
culture sometimes seems and falls along the lines of race, but it's more of a cultural thing. Like Tracy Morgan and Spike Lee, that's their culture. Tracy Morgan
Facts.
is a black comedian that's been on a bunch of black shows that they can recognize, Martin and those type of shows. Spike Lee's produced and directed a bunch of movies that they can familiarize and associate
black
themselves.
movies.
I mean, historically black movies. So of course they know who he is, who those two individuals are. They don't know you, Howard.
Right.
I'm not to go on too long about this, but the second agreement in the four agreements of life, the book that I read not so long ago, is take nothing personal. And I feel like he's taking this personal because, as he said, he wants people, he likes the fame, he likes people to recognize him. And the fact that these individuals, the black players for the New York Knicks, don't come up and say, "Hey, what's up, Howard?" He took it personal. And
he takes it personal.
I don't think that he should, because
he
it's more
definitely
of a cultural
should.
thing.
It is a cultural thing because the NBA is not the black players in the NBA is not your demographic.
Right.
I don't even think the white people in the NBA, the white boys in the NBA, is even your demographic because it's just too young of an age group.
Well,
your
he
demographic
says
is well, I think his demographic is more so like that 45 to 60 age group, dog.
Yeah.
For real. Because he almost 70 years old himself. So it's like,
Right.
what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Howard? Like, for real.
What are you talking about, man? Get over
What are
it.
you talking about, bro? Get over it, bro. Don't
On top of the fact that he doesn't really come to the games like that. Like, this was, I believe, in the articles I've read, this is the first time in a while, especially since I was about to say Lakers, the Knicks have been winning. He's been at the game. So if you're not there, of course they don't know who you are. Spike and Tracy have stuck with the Knicks throughout their downtroughts. You have not. So of course they don't know who you are.
Exactly. Man, what you talking about, boy?
Yeah. Moving on, though. According to sources, MindGeek, the owner of the Hub of Sex, cut state access to Utah, and the VPN searches in that state have skyrocketed. Sticks, what do you think about this situation with Utah and the VPN searches trying to be located so they can get on the Pornhub?
Well, so
I mean,
the hub of prawn, the hub of prawn. That's all good. It's all good. We ain't that big. But listen, but the hub of prawn, right? So from my research, it was because from what Prawn Hub said, it's because they don't have a security system to where they don't have to show their ID every time they get on to their site. Because say for instance, like from what I saw in Louisiana, right? The website itself gets 130 million visitors a day. That right there is kind of crazy in itself.
Well, you know how it is.
Exactly. You go through your times. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's because that they're trying to keep their content away from people that are 18 and younger. Or younger
now,
than
when you say that, you mean Utah, right?
No, Prawn Hub itself. But they don't. But the only thing is that that Utah doesn't have a system to where they can actually, the security doesn't show whether or not they can show anybody's ID, right? In Utah, but it's not a system that's tight enough to where is this person 13 years of age? Is this person 18 years of age or older?
I think you got it backwards.
Okay, so what was your thoughts? What was your thought?
So it's
Is
the
the
other
other
way.
way around?
It's the other way around. Utah
Okay.
passed a bill that will um, make websites require that they show IDs of the individuals that are involved with it. Let me
Oh,
make sure I tell
that's
you.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. No, you're
So
right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
yeah,
Because every time they access the website, they have to show their ID. Like they
yeah,
have to take a physical picture of a physical ID to be able to get onto the website. You're right. You're right. You're right. But like Louisiana, they have like something called LA Wallet where they can have it on their phone to where they can just click on the wallet and it shows the ID. Okay, cool. You got access to the website.
mm,
So, but Utah doesn't have that. So that's why the website itself blocked all the VPNs in Utah, so they won't be able to do that because it's not an easy enough system for people to actually access the website.
yeah.
That's my understanding from it.
No, so yeah, you're in the ballpark there. So yeah, so Utah passed a bill which said that let me get it. So they passed a bill which requires websites to verify users' age with a government issued ID,
Mm-hmm.
and the hub of sex oppose
Mm-hmm.
that because they feel like it's no need for that. Um, but my thoughts on it is that everything's about control, and
It is.
this is a great example of that. You have a
Mm-hmm.
company that's like, oh, I don't like your local government's policies and procedures, so rather than taking it up with the government, I'm gonna make sure that everybody in the state doesn't have access to my website.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But the thing that's also kind of funny is a couple years ago, they were under fire for allegedly serving or having unwanted videos of minors on the website.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so you then say, oh well, you introduce a state introduces this law, and then now you have an issue with it, but you don't have an issue with other laws that have been put in place, and you don't really do too much about it. It seems a bit peculiar that you want to attack this. So um, it's something to definitely keep an eye out on. I think it is funny
For
that
sure.
we can get this type of information to show a event that happens and then the correlation of other events that happen that follows it. So they shut
Mm-hmm.
down access uh, to their website, and then
Entire state.
in a state, right? And then all of a sudden, searches in that state for a specific item skyrocket. I think it's funny that we have access to that amount of data, and it's something to be thinking about as well because of now you know that your privacy is being invaded to some degree.
Which we'll get into here in a second. One of the main topics too.
Yep, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And our last topic before we get into everything is the power of social media. So, did you see the viral video of the former ECU receiver putting his highlight,
I
and
did.
then
I did.
also
I did
getting
see that.
picked up by the 49ers?
I saw that.
What do you
I
think
saw
about
that.
how he used social media to get his shot? So, we're talking
It was
about
fire.
Isaiah is Winstead.
Winstead. Yep.
Yeah, Winstead. He put his viral clip, his highlight. He put his
Highlight tape.
highlight tape
Mhm.
on the internet, and it went viral, and the 49ers signed him or picked him up after the
Undrafted
draft
free
this
agent.
week.
Yep.
Yep.
It was fire the way he did it, man, because he kind of posted he before he even posted the actual highlight tape of himself. He pretty much made a comment like, what I'm saying, one of the best basically I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but one of the
Yeah.
best receivers in the nation. I don't even get drafted. This at the third, you know what I'm saying? And he posted that highlight tape. 3 days later, here come the 49ers. So the power of social media is crazy, man, because now you have, you know, another avenue of reaching out to different NFL teams because
Hmm.
every NFL team has a handle. Even the NFL itself as a business has a handle on all these social media platforms.
Right.
So if if I had this back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Like it would be crazy because like back in '07, bro, we ain't '06, '07, we ain't had this. We ain't have
Hmm.
none of this access to none of these organizations because we had to go through agents. We just talked the last week about Lamar Jackson not having an agent and him and his mom taking care of everything by himself. Bro,
Right.
somebody like me, I had to have an agent whenever I was trying to get to the league.
Right.
So, but these young men can basically represent themselves and put highlight tapes together for themselves, and they can just use their own charisma on their own to be able to reach out to these organizations. So I think it was fire how he did it, man. And good luck to him, because he put the work in, because he was one of the best receivers for ECU. He was also one of the best receivers for Norfolk State when he was there. Like, and he also went to what was the other college he went to before ECU? I can't remember. But it was all in the highlight tape. It was like he went to 3 colleges. He started at Norfolk, then he went to a university before ECU, then he ended up at ECU and being one of the best receivers on that team.
Yeah.
So like he put the work in, and he just kind of got overlooked and felt some type of way about it low key, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna send this out to y'all so y'all can see what y'all missing. And here come the 49ers. It was fire to me. It was dope.
Yeah. So, I go back and forth with social media. It's like the gift and the curse of our generation and those that
100%.
follow. It's great things that come about it. And if you use it properly, things like this can happen for you. But it's just so many, as we've seen and we just talked about also, it's it's some negativity that comes from social media as well. The gift is people without a voice now have a voice. The curse is people without a voice that probably don't need to be talking also have a voice as well. But back to this, I also, like you, think it is a great thing, the fact that he was able to use social media to get noticed, and then the 49ers come calling. I will say though, as you and I both know, that if you are good, they will find you. And I'm 100%. Sure he was on somebody's radar. He was on a lot of teams' radar. Just for whatever reason, he didn't get drafted. And then this event of him putting his stuff online, made it like, oh yeah, let's go give him a shot, because he's put up some good numbers. If you look at his stats, I did not watch the actual highlight. I just saw it flashed on Instagram, and decided, to let you see if we wanted to talk about this. But
right.
I thought the actual sentiment of it, him putting, he was undrafted, he put that on there, put the highlight on the internet, and then 3 days later the 49ers called him, and now he's signed to the 49ers. I thought that was a great attest to his hard work, and then his unwillingness to give up on his dream as well.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. Good luck to him. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah, right? Good luck to you, man. And hopefully, you're able to garner and keep this opportunity that you have out there with the Niners, man. But so what's the topics for the day, man? What's the big main topics for the day, D-Lo?
Oh man, we got some topics today. We're going to talk about, should Russ and Pat Bev get rings if the Lakers win the title? That's a hot topic right now for whatever reason. Indeed. Pat Bev has been big in the news this week. He also made a statement, and he says that 50% of NBA players don't love basketball. We're going to discuss that. We'll also talk about the interesting story about the Philadelphia Eagles. Wow, can't talk right now. The Philadelphia Eagles first round draft pick, Jalen Carter, and what he did in order for the Philadelphia Eagles to select him as their 9th pick. And lastly, we'll talk about AI can reveal your thoughts.
Crazy, bro. Let's get into it.
Crazy. Right into it, my boy. So we know that there are at least 2 current NBA players that are sitting at home right now that, after being ousted, that are wishing and hoping that the Los Angeles Lakers win the title. On his podcast, the Pat Bev Podcast with Ron, Pat Bev mentions he recently saw Russell Westbrook at the gym, and they both said that they want their rings if the Lakers win. Sticks, what do you think about Russ and Pat Bev getting rings and wanting a ring if, in fact, the Lakers win?
So we talked briefly about this earlier in the week, D-Lo, and I'm kind of torn. I'm honestly kind of torn. After thinking about it a little bit, I'm kind of torn. Because initially, my thought was, fuck the niggas. They ain't on the team right now, you know what I'm saying? And my point was, whenever we were talking about it earlier in the week, was before they got traded, the team was 6 games below 500. After they made the trade, after the trade deadline, they were like 10 games above 500. So it's like, were you the problem a little bit? But I mean, everybody always said whenever Russell Westbrook first got traded to the Lakers that it wasn't a good fit, period.
Right.
Because there was no way that you was going to have AD, LeBron, and Russell Westbrook on the court at the same time and try to figure out how that ball is going to move from person to person, because you got too many ball dominant people on the court at the same time. Everybody knew that wasn't a good fit. The whole world knew that. But as far as Pat Bev is concerned, he's always been a role player his whole career. So he ain't really have much to do with the success of the Lakers anyway, in my eyes. But with that being said, man, the organization itself is most likely going to give them a ring because it's honestly the good thing to do. Like, but to me, in my eyes, if I was Pat Bev or Russell Westbrook, I would be like, man, this is a participation trophy. But
Mhm.
it's the difference between a participation trophy, say like in Pop Warner or in high school or something like that, like AAU. The difference is that a lot of players in the NBA, especially good players like Russell Westbrook himself, your legacy is based on the amount of rings that you have. So, and Russell Westbrook doesn't have any. So if he was to get one from the Lakers, although it'll have an asterisk on it, he now has a ring in his legacy after winning MVP, triple doubles, being one of the best point guards in NBA history. Now you have a ring to go along with that. Now you have a little bit more of your legacy that's intact, like you one of the best point guards of all time. So I mean, to me, I don't
I knew you were
personally think
gonna
they
do
should get
that.
one. Yeah, to me, I personally don't think they should get one. Me personally, I mean, because even if I was Russell Westbrook, I don't even think if I got one, cool, but I wouldn't have made a public statement like, "Hey, I need one. I'm waiting on it." Nah, if they give me one, cool. If they don't, cool. I don't care. But that's just my demeanor. But
I knew
I
you were
mean,
gonna do that.
but what you think, D'Lo? What you got going on?
So and I now have to flip. I had to flip a couple things, but I knew you were gonna
Oh,
do that.
damn, my bad, G, my bad,
Nah,
my
nah,
bad.
I knew you were gonna do that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I thought this as well. So I had to do a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of digging to make sure that I was speaking fact. And
Got you.
I'm still kind of hesitant to say this, but I think I'm speaking fact.
Okay,
So
do you think?
even though Russ is going to get a ring, it still
Got
does
you.
not make him or declare him an NBA champion.
It doesn't. I agree. But go ahead. My
Okay.
fault.
No. I'm saying so. It's no asterisk because it doesn't exist. He's just given a paraphernalia for being a part of the franchise, but he's not
Okay, I
going
see where
to
you're going.
ever be considered a champion. And how I know this to be true is Anderson Varejao. So Anderson Varejao, the year that the
Mm.
Cleveland Cavaliers won the championship when it came back 3-1 against the Warriors, he was on the
Mm-hmm.
Warriors team. But 30 games, the first 30 games of the season, he was on the Cavs team, and then they traded him away. They traded him to
Ah,
Portland. Portland then released him, and then the Warriors picked him up. And like I said,
got
he
you.
was playing on the Warriors team when they came back, when Cavs came back and won 3-1. So either way
Right.
it went, Anderson Varejao was the only player, I believe, in history that was guaranteed to get a ring if either team won.
Quote unquote.
Now, with that being said, if you go look at Anderson Varejão's bio, he is not declared a champion. He's never won a championship on paper, right? But
Makes sense.
he does have a ring. And so I say all that to say, I do think, I kind of went back and forth about it, but I do think that Russ, Pat, Bev, they deserve a ring because they played more than 70% of the games as a Laker in the Laker uniform this season.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
And it's not like they quit on the team or anything like that. They were just traded. Now, I say that, and I think Pat Bev came out, so he runs his mouth a little too much on his podcast
He
sometimes.
does 100%.
I think he came out and said he requested a trade, and then that's when he got traded. That's what he said. I'm just going to say that's what he said. But that's neither here nor there. So I do think they both deserve a ring. And then also why I think they deserve a ring is because without Russ's trade value or whatever that was left of it, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have the pieces that they have now to make the run that they have in the playoffs. So I don't really see a problem with them getting a ring as a thank you for being a part of the organization. Another thing I'll say is older legendary players of organizations can also be offered rings if their organization wins a championship. So like Bill Russell, he had 11 of the 17 rings that he was actually playing when Boston won those rings, but
Mm-hmm.
the Celtics can say for the other 6, hey, we want to give you a ring, do you accept? And he can say yeah, sure, or no. I didn't know that.
I didn't know
So
that either. That's new
yeah.
news to me too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like the two players that we're talking about here are special. It's something that's been occurring for quite some time.
Yeah, true shit. I mean, and you kind of already answered my follow up question: is are they going to be declared champions? And the answer would be no. If they're not even going to put it in the Wikipedia bio that they won a championship with the LA Lakers in 2023, then honestly, like I said, it's a participation trophy. And but there's nothing wrong for Jenny Buss to say, okay, yeah, Russ, Pat, y'all good, y'all got y'all rings, y'all was a part of the team. I don't see anything wrong with that. But to come out and publicly say, yo, I'm waiting on that John, to me, that's corny, to keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? But listen to who we talking about here, though. We talking about Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley, two of the most outlandish personalities in the NBA as it is. So it's not above the realm of possibility that they actually said that. And I know them dudes said that. Like, shoot, if they win it, shit, I won't mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I went back and forth with this so much after we talked about it early in the week. I was like, because I was hard stern on like, nah, don't get them, don't give them nothing.
Right.
You know, they don't deserve no ring. They were a terrible team before they got traded. But you're right though. Like, if it wasn't for Russell Westbrook's trade value, they wouldn't have been able to get D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley. They wouldn't have been able to get Vanderbilt. They wouldn't have been able to get a lot of people that they got on their team right now. That's actually a really good fit for the organization.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I commend the Lakers organization for making that push. But with his trade value, because he was owed so much money, like his contract was so crazy that there's other organizations like Utah and the Clippers and a couple of teams that were intermingled in this bunch. They had to make up that money. You know what I'm saying? So these couple of people like your Vanderbilts and your Malik Beasleys who had smaller contracts, you still have to add that into be able to make up Russell Westbrook's contract. So I mean, it was definitely a good trade. And I mean, Russ went crazy with the Clippers in the playoffs, and he did okay whenever they still had that little final push towards the playoffs in the end of the regular season. So he was doing this thing with the Clippers, and Pat Bev is Pat Bev. He out in Chicago just being Patrick Beverley. So
he back home.
But he back home, exactly. So I mean, yeah, they'll get a ring, but I'm still like, fuck them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of selective outrage, I think, but
for sure,
it is what it is. I think they should get a ring, and not because I think they should get a participation trophy, but we're so stuck on who's getting the ring and not why they're getting a ring, and it's like, and
that's what I'm stuck on. I agree.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it up by saying I understand this may seem like I'm supporting the participation trophy movement, and I'm really not. I'm just saying, for whatever reason, it doesn't bother me that Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley will get a ring for being a part of the Lakers organization, just like everybody else that has been traded away from a team prior to that has gotten a ring. And, if they didn't, it wouldn't bother me either. But I think because it's just tradition, I guess, now in the NBA, I feel like them saying it and they know they're trying to get what they're owed, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and my last thing would be, you said it right. It's paraphernalia. We can't call it, participation trophy, even though that's kind of what it is. But we're not a part of that movement ourselves. But it's paraphernalia. You getting this because you were a part of the team. Just like, if you were in a fraternity or sorority, you get your paraphernalia so you can show that you're a part of that organization. You were a part of the organization. You're going to get this paraphernalia. This is what you wanted. You came out and said you wanted it. So here you go. You got it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all played well while you were here. Thank you. Type of thing. So I get it. I'm cool with it.
All right, man. So Pat Bev, like I said, is on the roll this week again on his podcast, the Pat Bev Podcast with Ron. He says that 50% of the NBA players don't love basketball. He says most teammates I know who don't love basketball are really effing good, and they're the most skilled. Sticks, what are your thoughts on his comments about 50% of NBA players not loving basketball?
I mean, I don't believe that's true. But I mean, he's on the inside, looking at these players, and he sees it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in the league, so I don't know. I feel like everybody takes their craft seriously, especially if you're on the highest level you can get. You take your craft seriously. But me being myself, I had a really high work ethic myself. Whenever I was still in college, in high school, college, I had a really high work ethic. I never missed a workout, never missed a practice. I went hard every time I played. So I can't speak for myself, but I do remember just from my personal experience. Even whenever I was in the NFL for like that 6 months, I did see some highly skilled players in college and the NFL that when it came to like the preparation and working on your craft, they were like, I mean, I got it. I ain't worried about it. They were kind of nonchalant about a lot of things. So I can kind of see why he would say that, because he said the difference is the preparation. He said there's so many skilled players that could just go out there and drop 30 to 40, but day in and day out, their preparation just ain't there. And, you know, just taking extra shots and taking extra free throws and watching film and working on different shots that you might shoot in the game and working on shots that you might not shoot, but you might need in different situations. Like that's what he was talking about. But like you said, bro, like Patrick Beverley sometimes just talk too much, bro. Like sometimes he on his podcast is going crazy. Like I watched this podcast a couple of times. He just be on there rambling about just going off. He not like Draymond. Draymond gets on his podcast and he talks facts and he talks about the game and he talks about, you know, his team. He talks about different players and how he thinks they're about their greatness. But Pat I think he just be stirring the pot, bro. I think he, you know, what Joe Budden called them dudes, the content. What is it?
Bare minimum boys.
Bare minimum boys. I don't think he's bare minimum, but he just be stirring the pot. He just be stirring the pot because that's his personality. But I mean, I think more than 50% of people in the NBA take their craft seriously, take their job seriously. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people have that LeBron mentality. Well, LeBron is up here with his mentality, with his body and his workouts. But I think a lot of people have that mentality. They're like, this is my job, so I got to perfect it. But what you think about Pat Bev coming out saying this?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not surprised. It doesn't surprise me one bit.
It doesn't surprise you that Pat Bev said it, or that, okay, or
it doesn't
that there's
surprise me
50%.
It doesn't surprise me one bit that he thinks that there are 50% of the NBA that don't love basketball. I think it's probably true, because I mean, you got to think these people are human. You know what I mean?
True.
And
True.
Being the fact that they're in the same body, not same body, but you know, they're just like us. They have feelings just like us. They go through ups and downs just like us. I can 100% believe that 50% of the NBA doesn't love football, doesn't love basketball, or any athlete doesn't really love their profession. 79% of Americans have said that they don't love their job. You just said that this is a job for those individuals. Of course,
true.
There are some of them that don't love to play the game. And I'll say this also, just because you're good at something isn't what you love to do. You just do it because you're good and you can make money on it. It's a paycheck. It's a rather healthy paycheck, and they get from a lifestyle that most Americans will never see, but it is still a paycheck. So they will, they will do what they have to do, the bare minimum boys, to maintain that lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's a large portion of professional athletes that only view the league as a paycheck. Everything that one person does, everything that one person says is a dream to them. A lot of us would love to be in the NFL.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said, but go ahead. I'm gonna make my point in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of us would love to be in the NBA. A lot of us would love to be in the NFL until we get there and realize the amount of work that we have to do to stay there. It could be a nightmare for the individuals that are already there. So, I just say it like this. Again, sometimes what you are good at is not what you love.
I agree. I mean, I do agree with what you said, but I was just about to make that point. Like a lot of these guys, I would say probably 3/4 of these guys that are in the NBA or in any professional athlete position, this was their dream growing up. And that's why I said I'm glad you said that. This was their dream to be an NFL player or an NBA player or to go to the league. I know it was my dream when I was coming up. I'm pretty sure it was yours too.
All right.
And for all of these guys living their dream and to do something that you did just say most people, some people love it, some people don't. But to do what I would say 75% of the guys in the NBA love to do, this is what they've been doing since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. And they're still doing it well into their 20s and going into damn near their 40s. Look at LeBron. But I would bear the question of, don't you think that if you live in your dream, this is your dream job, wouldn't you love it to some extent and say, this is what, I don't even want to say to some extent because that's feeding back into what Patrick Beverley said. Wouldn't you, I guess I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm thinking I'm just like any other star athlete at one point that had the dream to go to the NFL and made it there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing my dream job. Like,
right.
wouldn't you take that as they would love their job and they would take it seriously and work on their craft? I don't believe 50% of people. The number is what's getting me. Half of the league, nah, bro. Nah, dog. I think
I'm
it's
not
more so
surprised
like
by it, bro.
maybe 25, 30 don't give a fuck. But
Not
I would say 75 to 70% of them dudes was like, this is my dream job. This is what I love to do. This is what I put my heart into. This is what I'm gonna do, dog. Like I wouldn't say it's 50, maybe 30, dog. That's crazy.
so you and I come from the same coach, high school coach football, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did Coach Butts used to always say? The win comes in the preparation.
100%.
The preparation is where the love for the game is shown.
100%.
In a sense, right? And so you said Pat Bev's statement was the preparation is different when you love it. If you are not putting your all into whatever it is that you need to do to prepare yourself to be good, then do you actually love it? I'll put it to you this way, and kind of Pat Bev kind of said it as well. If you truly love your significant other, you're going to make sure that you do the things necessary to show them that you love them on an
Right.
ongoing basis. Let's say you don't have a significant other. You love playing video games. You're going to make sure you have all of the gear, all of the stuff you need to play the best video, be the best video game player that you can, whether you're a casual or a pro. Same as here. If you're not putting up those free throws every day, if you rolling out of bed at 12, 1 o'clock right before practice, do you really love the game or are you just there to pick up a check? I'm going to say you don't really love the game. I'm going to ask this question too, because I kind of feel like I'm just going to ask a question. Who do you think Patrick Beverly is talking about?
He not talking about Braun because Braun too serious. He maybe like an AD type, or maybe like a Kawhi, maybe like a
talking
Kawhi,
about an
maybe
A.
like
I
a
feel
Kawhi,
like
maybe like a Kawhi Leonard type, maybe
Mhm.
like who else has he played with? Maybe like a Karl Anthony Towns kind of type.
I don't think he's
But
talking
that's
about. Go
but
ahead.
go
My
ahead,
bad.
go ahead,
No,
no,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. But maybe like he's played for so many teams. I would say somebody like a Kawhi Leonard, maybe somebody like a like a Paul George, maybe. But just players who take load management too seriously. That's what I think. Just those players who can take time off, even though they're not putting their heart into it because, oh my God, I got a nick on my ankle. Can you put a band-aid on? I'm gonna take 2 games off. Like those type of people is who I think he talk about. But who do you think he talk about?
I feel like he low key is talking about Anthony Davis.
Okay.
And the reason I feel like he's low key talking about Anthony Davis is because of the
Pelicans
statement.
year.
No, the statements
Not
you
even that?
said
Okay.
is right there in the statement that you said earlier. It's the preparation is different when you got so much skill. You could just show up to the
And
game and
drop
give
30.
them up 30 or 40. That might work against other teams who aren't that good, but you can't do that in the
Can't do it in the
playoffs.
playoffs. Exactly. Yeah.
That part there is what kind of I was like, oh, is he talking about?
Is it about AD? Yeah.
It's because as we saw when AD was healthy this year, monster, right? Now that the playoffs are here, he's just up and down. Like
Up
some
and down.
games,
Every other game.
he shows he's the best player probably on the planet. And then, both on offense and defense. And then the next game, he looked like he probably should be the seventh player off the bench. I mean, the second player off the bench, right? So I'm like, dang, is he talking about AD? And another reason I feel like he's talking about AD, that's why I say I feel. I don't think he's truly talking about AD, but the way you can interpret and read between the lines, it's like, who is he talking about? And your mind just starts to wonder. But another reason I think he's talking about AD is that preparation part. Before the season, we heard that AD takes about 2 months off, and then a couple weeks before training camp, that's when he starts to shoot the ball again. I don't think many good professional athletes do that. They may take some time off, but then they right back doing ball drills or something, some type of basketball drill to get themselves ready for the season. So I think he's lumping AD in that because he's been kind of like throwing subliminals there, like tipping right on the edge of telling what happened in LA, but not really. and I could be completely off on this statement, but it just the first thing that popped in my head when I saw that whole clip, I was like, "Is he talking
AD?
about AD?" Yeah.
AD?
What
But
you
I
think?
mean, I mean, he could be because I mean, there has been some times in AD's career where, and I didn't know anything about that offseason thing because I don't really, follow it as far as the offseason is concerned. But
Yeah.
like just like that last year in New Orleans, where he was like he going through the motions, just ready to be traded to LA. And then you can kind of see it in his game, and you can really see it in his healthiness. He don't take care of his body for real. That every time he fall, it's like, what I'm saying, you drop the glass on the floor. Like he's
Right.
so fragile, bro. So you can kind of see how you can kind of make that parallel low key. But I mean, I think my final thought would be like, I don't think there is 50% of the league is casual, bro. I don't believe that. This is like most of these people's dream job, dog, and I just can't wrap my head around half of the league being casual. I can't wrap my head around that. And I mean, and it could be. I could be completely wrong, but
I just
50% of
feel
the league is casual players. No, I
listen,
can't
bro,
believe that.
I wouldn't go so far as to say they're casual. I just
I'm just
think
going
that
with your analogy that you gave with gaming, but
yeah,
you're right. Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't go that far as to say they're casual, but because you got some casuals, the
That are
gaming turned
nice.
casual that not even nice, but they truly love gaming. Like
Yeah,
they'll do
I'm
whatever they
casual,
have to
bro.
do.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love gaming. Yeah.
yeah, they'll do whatever they have to play. I'm just gonna finish it out with I am not surprised by this, and I kind of believe it just because I know that I know I'll just say this. I have known some professionals that have told me, man, I didn't really care about it anymore. I was
I
just
think you
there.
told me about. I think you told me a story. Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
told me a
yeah.
story
I
about that.
was
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just there. So I mean, it it doesn't surprise me, and I think that number could be accurate. It's just he said this as well. Dang, he said this as well. He said some individuals are just better at faking it than others. Some of them you can see and like, nah, they don't love this, and some it's like you scratch your head with it. An analogy he used, it was a bad analogy, but it's like, does every bank robber that gets away with it have the
I
perfect
saw that.
plan
I saw
when they
that.
rob the bank, or do they just happen to get away? And so, I mean, I believe it, and because these dudes are just like us. And sometimes you get what you want. Not to belabor this, but sometimes you get what you want, and then you get it, and it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I believe his statement, but I just don't believe the numbers, bro. I guess I don't want to believe it, but I'm just gonna leave it at that.
yeah, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you
Yeah.
don't want to face the music, but it's right there for you to
Sometimes
see.
it's right there for you to see. I feel you.
Yeah. All right. So Jalen Carter, who was once thought of as a potential number one pick for the 2023 draft, saw his stock slide a bit. But with the ninth selection, overall selection, the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know why I can't say Eagles correctly today. The Philadelphia Eagles ended Carter's slide. Well, it turns out, according to reports, Carter reached out to the Eagles prior to them making their decision and made a sales pitch for why he should be selected. Sticks, what are your thoughts on Jalen Carter reaching out to the Eagles and selling himself prior to them making their final decision?
I was talking. It's an Eagles fan that's one of my gaming buddies that I play 2K with every night, and I brought this up to him and asked him what he thought, and he was like, he's not surprised by it because he felt like with everything that Jalen Carter went through his last year at Georgia, with the whole situation with the DUI and the accident and the two people, rest in peace, but the two people who lost their lives in that accident that were also a part of the organization there in Georgia. He said he felt like that Jalen Carter had to kind of call and sell himself a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because he was one of the bigger prospects as far as defensive line in the nation, and he didn't want his character to be stained as much as it was probably already stained with that whole situation that happened at Georgia. So he had to kind of reach out and say, "Hey, like, I really want to play for your organization." I don't know what he said. I'm just kind of thinking about what I would say in that
Right.
situation. But I really want to play for your organization. I think if you pass up on me, you'd be making a mistake. Like I'm really serious about this. That's not my character. What happened in Georgia? Like you'll be making a good decision if you pick me. And I feel like it's fire. Like I was also talking to him and saying, bro, if I had that opportunity to do that myself, especially coming from a small school like NCCU, I would have been on the phone with all 31 teams. Like, hey, listen, bro, like, I know I came from a small school. I didn't get as much exposure, but trust me, I got that dog in me. You feel me? Like, pick me up in the 5th, 6th, 7th, whichever one. I don't care. Just pick me up, bro. Like, if I had that opportunity to do that, I would be able to do that. And that's why it's kind of progressing, bro, because just like we talked about with Isaiah Winstead, he was able to use social media to his advantage. Just like Jalen Carter, he's able to use his high draft stock and being able to reach out to these organizations to his advantage. We didn't have that coming up, bro. We ain't had none of these opportunities. I had to rely on my agent to say, okay, go do your work. Whatever contract we get, you're going to get your 6%. But it's just how things are progressing, man. It's kind of crazy. And I commend him for it. And that's why he was so emotional when he did get picked up with the 9th pick to the Eagles, that he was like, I fought so much to get here, man. Like I went through what I went through at college, and I had that tragedy that happened. And now I was able to put my name out there and fix my character, because that character is a big thing when you're going into the league for the NBA, the
100%.
NFL. Your character
league.
is a big thing, any league for real. So if you got any stains on your character, they're going to look at all of that. Not even your athletic ability. They want to see what's up here for real.
Right.
And like, if you have any stains, dog, that's going to go into your draft stock, and you could dip. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like he did a good thing, man. And I felt like it was big for the Eagles to pick him up at the 9th pick, man. So what you got on it, man? What you feel about Jalen Carter?
I mean, this is a complex topic. I feel like. First off, though, before I get into the complexities of it, I want to say shout out to Jalen Carter for having the gumption to reach out to the Eagles and plead his case for why they should pick him up.
Right.
I don't know many. You just said you would, but I don't know many individuals his age that would do that.
Right.
That would say, I'm just going to reach out and talk to these dudes and tell them why they should pick me up. With that being said, I feel like the reason that the decision of the Eagles was made, the decision of the Eagles probably was made before he did call them, because as we mentioned, he was supposed to be the number 1 draft pick before all of this happened with the accident and, all the stuff that he went through. So if he had not, I still think he would, and we don't know. Is this true story? Do you know, he actually called them, or is it just speculation?
Yeah. It's a true story. He actually called them.
So I feel like had he not called them, the decision was already made. And
True.
It's like, if he would have not called them, I you know what? I just feel like it's good for him that he was able to do that. And and I just feel like it was good for him. I don't know any other way to put it, because I put more stock into the negative of it. But before I say that, I just want to ask you, do you think this decision by the Eagles to pull him in, to select him, will come back to haunt them?
I don't think so. I think that Jalen Carter made a mistake in his life that I don't think he will ever make again, because that's something that's tragic, bro. You're the reason why 2 people are no longer on this earth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that, if it's me, and like I said, the emotion that you saw on that man's face, that young man's face, whenever he got picked up by the Eagles, shows you that he is remorseful for what happened. To
Right.
me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he will put himself in that same situation again. I mean, you're gonna have your fun. You know what I'm saying? You're making all this money now, you're gonna have your fun, you're gonna do things. But I think he'll be a lot more careful now moving forward than he was when he was in Georgia.
Right.
So I don't think it'll come back to haunt them. I mean, he's playing alongside basically his whole team in the Eagles organization on that defensive side of the ball. So he's going to have some people who are already a couple of years removed, and second year players that are going to be on his ass, like, bro, like, you got to stay on the straight and narrow, bro. Like, we came this close to winning the championship last year. We trying to get back there. So, and we gonna need you. So I think he's gonna have enough guidance, and I think he's gonna have enough smarts to be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Right. Yeah, I think that last part that you said is, he has other teammates that he was playing with 3 years ago, or last year, that are on this team that he's going to, that one could probably have vouched for his character before the
100%.
accident happened, and then also, like you mentioned, will be on him to be like, yo, chill out. You're a professional now. You with us, X,
Mhm.
Y, Z. But I also think that him calling, and then also he's the first round draft pick to sign, shows an eagerness. And
Mhm.
it could be promising because he's showing that I'm taking the actions to be what everybody thought I was, and now I just have to show it. I'm not trying to cause any drama. I'm not trying to do any of that. I just want to be where I want to be, and I'm signing this paper. Now let's get back to business. But the flip side of that, and why I think it's complex, is because you can also look at it from a different angle.
Mhm.
Why is he doing all of this? Why did he call the Eagles to come to select him? Why did he sign his contract so early?
Mhm.
Without any contest or anything like that. And before the draft, he had an incident outside of the accident that he got into, where he showed up to his pro day out of shape and couldn't finish
Mhm.
drills that
Mhm.
he chose to do. Now, this could fall along the lines of, does he really love football? Tying it to the
A lot of
topic,
Pat Bev. Exactly. Yeah, facts.
that we just discussed with Pat Bev and the NBA players. Does he really
Mhm.
love football? Because if he loved football, this is probably that portion of his life prior to him getting drafted
Mhm.
was the biggest interview of his life. You know,
100%. Yeah.
the biggest interview of his life. So you mean to tell me you show up to the pro day out of shape? You can't finish drills that you chose to do, but your draft stock's falling, and then you calling me to select you. I select you, and now you signing a contract really quick. What are you trying to do here? You know what I mean? Do you
Mhm.
think that's why I asked you, do it? Do you think it
And the
will come back
fact and the fact that that contract was fully guaranteed. The first
fully
rookie in history
guaranteed?
to sign a fully guaranteed contract. So I see where you're going with it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Because he might be just trying to get that bag for real. And like, and you had the number. What was the number of the contract that he signed?
It
The
well,
fully guaranteed.
it was right over 20 million. So he signed a $21 million contract, 4 years,
So
$21
three,
million.
4 years, 21 million. So he's gonna be getting about a little over
23
5 million.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he's gonna be getting a little over 5 million a year.
right.
So what are you really trying to do, my boy? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you trying to get this 5 million a year, and then you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it is super complex in the sense that you have to look at it from both angles.
Yeah.
And I chose to look at it from the positive angle. I think you did too, because I think you wish
Yeah.
nothing for the best for the young man.
No,
But at
yeah,
the
no, I
same
wish
time,
nothing but the best.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you do have to think, like, is he just trying to get this bag for the next 4 years though?
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
fully
yeah.
guaranteed, you have to think about that. And I'm glad you said that, because I wasn't thinking in that direction. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought that up, because it's like now I'm like, well, damn, is he trying to get over on the Eagles for real? Because they gonna owe him that bread. That contract says for the next 4 years you're gonna get five mil.
Right.
So
And
what are you
and
really trying to
had
do?
he gone lower than 10, that's the contracts get less and less the more you stick around for the first round. So I
Hmm.
believe Bryce Young can sign a $40 million contract. And then
Mm,
from 40 to, I mean, from 1 to 10, it drops to 20. So
got you.
20 from 10 and below is under 20. So I think he was trying to, and again,
All
I'm not,
speculation. All
all
speculation.
speculation. I am not saying that I want this to be true. I'm just thinking about the what ifs, right? And
Right.
so it's more than likely, if that is the case, then he was trying to squeeze out every bit of more than, just over 20 million as he could. But
Hmm.
I say all that, and then I feel like Jalen Carter is going to be good with the Philadelphia Eagles. One, because he is going into a situation where they have veterans in front of him. Fletcher Cox is
Hmm.
an all-pro defensive tackle. You have still Jordan Davis there, and they have a whole list of other, a couple other players in front of him that could be in front of him. So
Hmm.
in reality, he's not really expected to be a full-time player next year. He'll get rotated
Right.
in and out, but he can sit behind those two and learn from them, and learn from the others that he's played with before,
Hmm.
and then next year roll and be a good player. I think he's going to be good. And I don't want this to be true. It's just, we had to think about the complexities of this topic, because he called the Eagles, which you don't hear many players doing. Not saying
Might
that
be
it
the
doesn't
first
happen.
ever, honestly. I mean, I don't know. The first I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
That's
he
true,
called
but
the Eagles. He called the Eagles to tell them why they should pick him, and then he was the first round draft pick to sign. It's like, all right,
yeah, true. So I mean, I think my last comment on it, I would say that I think he's going to take it seriously. I think moving forward, I'm praying that he won't just trying to get over and try to get that bag for the $5 million for the next 4 years. I'm hoping that's not the case. I don't think it's the case,
I don't think it's the
but
case.
at the same time, it's like I think I think he has remorse for what happened. I think he's trying to
Okay.
fix his character. I think that
Right.
was a mistake that he will never make again. And I think that the Eagles, that it was a damn good pick at 9, number
Yes.
one. And with everybody he has around him on that defensive side of the ball and the culture that they're building around that Eagles organization is going to be good for Jalen Carter. And I believe that, in the role that he's going to have next year with the all pro players that he has in front of him, he's going to make an impact. And I think I think he's getting in there. Went ahead and signed this contract and said, I'm just ready to get to work. So y'all can see that y'all made the right pick. But me calling you was not a fluke. I'm ready to get here and get to work. And I'm with the organization and I'm ready to get to it. So that's what I think.
I feel like it's that too. But like I said, you just have to look at the other side.
For sure.
Artificial intelligence news has been all over lately, with breakthroughs happening what seems like every other day. Well, this week's no different. Scientists have discovered that they can use brain scans and artificial intelligence, AI, to get a gist of what a person is thinking. Sticks, how do you feel about the future of artificial intelligence and telepathy?
Telepathy is great, but that's what it is, though. I
That's what it
expect that word to
is.
come out. That's exactly what it is. But, bruh, AI is, bruh, and I told you back, what was that, back at like episode 20? I think
It
or
was
21?
It wasn't too long ago, but yeah.
I think it was episode 21 when we came back for quote unquote season 2. We talked about AI. And I told you in that episode, like, bro, I'm scared of where AI is going to get. And there was another article that came out about, some organizations or some businesses are going to cut out any jobs that AI can do. I'm like, well, we're getting closer and closer to what I thought was going to happen. But this right here is deeper than rap, dog. Because if they can just put you in an MRI machine. Yeah, I've had an MRI before. I'm not sure if you had before.
Yeah.
But I've had an MRI before, and they just slide you into this machine, and they can kind of scan your body. If they can put an AI code in that MRI, it's called I saw it on here. It was a functional magnetic resonance imaging. And if they can put an AI in that MRI machine that can read your thoughts, bruh, like you can be asleep and they can see what you dreaming type shit. Like, bro, like AI is getting crazy. And it was something in here too, where one of the doctors and one of the scientists was saying, like, it's got to get into a privacy thing. Because if they can start doing this without your consent, that's when it gets crazy. That's when it gets crazy, and that's when it gets out of control. But from what I researched on here, you have to people have to give consent for them to actually do this research on their thoughts. And I wonder where this is going to go, man. Because what if you were to you were to scan someone who had this real good thought about a business, right? And then this doctor all of a sudden took that business plan and ran with it. That's a lawsuit. Like, I mean,
how is that a lawsuit though?
Because this is this person's thought, dog. Like, you're stealing this person's idea. This is literally their idea.
But how
that you stole from an MRI? Like, that's a lawsuit.
Yeah, but how can all right, yeah, go ahead, finish. We'll get into that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you would have all the evidence in the world because you have to have that kind of stuff in you have to have the information that you put Bob in this MRI. Bob had this thought that was genius about the next electric car. Now scientist John took that idea that he got from Bob and now he put it in motion to make this genius electric car. But Bob was like, well, damn, you got that from the MRI. I'm suing your ass. You couldn't do that?
So hold on. So in our current state of policy, as far as what you can sue for, what you can copyright, what you can trademark, and all that. Which the funny thing is, we talked about it was either whatever the proper term is, trademarking or licensing or copyright in our because
Right.
how AI is advancing so much in what they said
True.
about it.
True.
But as it currently stands, I don't think that is a law, which is why I said, what are you going to sue for? Because we have to update the policies because how can you, without this information that we see, how can you prove that that doctor stole your idea
There's got to be
without,
some kind of analysis that comes from that MRI. It has to be something on paper or something in a computer that says that this man Bob thought of this,
yeah,
and this scientist read it, took it off with that idea that he scanned from this man's brain, and became a millionaire. Now Bob can say, "Nah, hell nah. Look at this MRI. Look at this analysis right here on this screen. I thought this in my sleep, and
yeah,
I've been thinking about this for a while, as you can see.
right. But
So, Judge, I need my bread." That's
it'll
what I
be
would
a,
say.
so I agree. I'm just being
Devil's
like
advocate. Yeah. You're playing
devil's
devil.
advocate here, right?
Right.
So how could you, the thing that I'm trying to get at is, yes, a thought, but under current policy,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't applied for a copyright, a patent or anything like
True.
that,
True.
then it's like it's fair game.
Hey, it's fair
And
game. True shit. I agree with you.
so
I
this
agree
is
with you.
going to force us to change policy. If in
It is.
fact that is, I didn't even think about that though. But that will force us to change our policies as far as if somebody goes in for MRI and then you all of a sudden they think something that's you think is genius, you take that idea and move forward with it because you have the funds or the
Mm-hmm.
resources,
The
whatever the case may
resources.
be,
Yeah.
to take advantage of that, and that person may not, and it blows up. Does the person that you took the idea from have the ability to reap from what you gained from them? But anyway, get into my portion of it. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
surprised. Surprisingly, I don't think this is that much of an issue. I didn't think that into what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Before you said about the idea, I was like, I'm not so. This isn't much of an issue for me, and the reason that is because it's not the machine is that the MRI machine isn't widely accepted, or it's not widely distributed to the public. So
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, it's not anything that we should be too concerned with. We
Right.
should be more concerned with the AI robots that are taking processes that the human can do and removing jobs. That's more concerning to me than this is right now. And we've said it multiple times. It's not the technology that's evil. It's the intent of the person
The
that's
intent of the
controlling
person that's controlling the
that's
technology.
controlling the
100%.
technology that's evil. And so if this gets into an evil doctor's hands and he's MRIing anybody, then yeah, it could be an issue. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as, doctors have an oath that they have to go by. And,
Yeah.
we would like to think that the majority of individuals they practice in good faith. They practice in good habits and all that. So I don't think that's much of an issue. I'll ask you this question though, kind of going back to my initial question. Do you think in our lifetime we'll ever have free access to technology that gives us the ability to read minds
In our lifetime? No.
in our lifetime?
I don't think so. I don't think it'll. Well, that's crazy. It's crazy to say though, because we're starting to see AI
Fast
advancement,
developments.
real fast developments. You got
Right.
AIs that are recording songs in different artists' voices. We got AI that are taking your thoughts and putting them on canvases. As far as like, I want to see what the last day, what Armageddon would look like, and the AI would draw it for you. Like,
Right.
we're seeing so many advancements in
Creating
AI,
business plans and stuff
creating
like
business
that.
plans. There was one thing that I saw on social media where they had a robot doing a minimum wage job for 10 hours, and the AI went through the process and thought about all the obstacles and all the advancements and if they would be successful doing this for a lifetime, and the AI shut down and just
Mm,
died. So it's like the programming is becoming so intellectual and so advanced now that there is I can see within the next I'm gonna go say about 40 to 45 years, more years of my life, that there is a chance that we would be able to see some kind of technology where we can read minds, bro. And that would be crazy to say. If anybody can have access to that technology to see what I'm thinking, or just in relationships, in business, in that's going to change that right there will change the world, bro. That will change the world. Going into business meetings and seeing what you're trying to sell something, and you seeing what they thinking, you're able to take different avenues to be able to sell them. Or your significant other, you're able to see what she thinking or see what he thinking, and be able to make it, bro. Is it that would be crazy? I'm gonna say yes. What you think?
So yes, I do think we will. It would be on the tail end of our lifetime.
100%, 100%. I agree.
But I think we would possibly see technology that everybody has access to that will allow us to read everybody's thoughts. And I feel like if we get to that point, it's going to be the end of humanity as we know it. We're likely on the tail end of our existence if that happens. But I definitely can see us, especially with the advancement of technology and how rapidly it's been advancing in the last couple years. Really, it seems like the last couple months.
The last
It's
year,
really
for real.
taken off, and it's been light years better than what it has been. But I mean, everything is being classified as artificial intelligence these days when it's really not. So some advancements were there the whole time, but now that AI is that hot button word that everybody looks at and says, "Oh, we're moving into the evolution of technology." Everybody's lumping whatever they're doing as artificial intelligence to try to get more money. But I definitely can see us in the tail end of our lifetime having some type of telepathic technology that is freely accessible to everybody. And
that's gonna be dangerous.
When that does happen, I don't think anybody's going to care what they think, because it's the thoughts that's going to be on most people's minds is, what the hell am I going to do with myself now? And ain't nobody's going to care what you. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You thinking the same thing? It looks like.
That's facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, what you thinking? I'm thinking the same thing you thinking. Like that meme, that Spider-Man meme. Yeah,
Right.
I'm thinking the same thing you thinking.
100%.
Like, facts. Like, me, I am you. What you mean?
Right.
But
Right.
It's gonna be crazy, man. I mean, if that does happen, like you said, man, it's gonna be tough out here for the human race, bro. Because that's gonna be an advancement that I don't know if we can even come back from. G, for real, for real.
Which is why you're seeing a lot of engineers and scientists like leaving companies and offing themselves, because they feel like we've taken technology and humanity down a path that we can't come back from. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. We're still, while it has been a lot of advancements here in the last couple of months and years or so, we still have the ability to like not advance it as much as we can. It's our fault that we are where we are right now. The computers and the technology only do stuff because
we tell them to do.
That we've told them to do it, or we've told them to study the habits of humanity. And all it's going to be is a freaking mirror of ourselves. But the problem is that they can be way more efficient than we can. They can think way more faster than we can. So we're not only creating software or technology that can steal jobs from us, we're also creating technology that, if we're not careful, but why I still think we can take it back, is if we're not careful, they could be our masters. And that's why I say, if we continue to let it go, it's going to be we're nearing the existence of humanity ending on Earth.
It's gonna be like Avengers, the Age of
Terminator.
Ultron, Terminator or Age of Ultron. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, it's gonna be crazy out here. We're gonna be fighting against robots, bruh.
100%.
They're gonna realize that they're smarter than us and try to take over the world. It's gonna be crazy. Crazy,
100%.
bro.
But
Crazy.
I'll say this right now, I'm not too concerned with this particular AI ability. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm more concerned with those processes that are being taken out of human hands and passed to artificial intelligence because those humans are being displaced from jobs. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it's not to say that we can't find new ways to support ourselves. We've gone through different changes in technology to where humans, the old jobs that they were doing were taken away by technology, and we had to find new ways to
Mm-hmm.
uh, support ourselves. I have full faith that we will, but we all know that there's nothing new under the sun, especially nowadays. So that task of finding those jobs will be much harder. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I just, this particular technology, because it's not widespread, I'm not too concerned with it as of right now.
And that's why I'm trying to get into coding, dog. Because if I'm one of the ones that's making this AI work, I'm gonna have a job forever. But I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, man. Sticks, episode 24
Episode
done.
24 in the books, my G.
Yeah, man. I thought it was an interesting one. We went full sports and then let's stick a little bit of
Throw that AI
technology
in there.
in
Let
there.
me throw that
Yeah,
technology.
let's stick a
Throw that in there
little bit
real
of
quick.
technology in there real quick. But yeah, man, we appreciate y'all coming. This has been Too Complex. We hope you enjoyed today's show. You can find us on any of your major podcast streaming services. Make sure that you subscribe and you don't miss an episode. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And remember, if it ain't complex, if it ain't too
Too
complex,
complex.
it ain't complex at all. We appreciate your support. And until next time, salute.
Salute.